All right, the Senate has joined the House of Representatives in summoning President Muhammadu Buhari to appear at a joint session at a yet-to-be-agreed date to brief lawmakers on measures to curb insecurity across the country.
Well, this followed a motion on the continued killings of Nigerians in Benue State by Senator George Akume. The Senate later held a minute's silence and directed security agencies to ensure appropriate investigations are undertaken with arrests made and killers prosecuted.
Namely, Reverend Father Joseph Gore, Reverend Father Felix Cholaha, and the catechist Joy Ibor, and 17 others. This latest attack on a worship center, which is most unprecedented in Benue, has very grave implications for the security and unity of our dear nation. Also notes the monumental refugee situation now in Benue, estimated at over 200,000. Even the Fulani that...
All right, yeah, those two priests are actually real human beings, exactly. And the 17 others are real human beings, in addition to all the other human beings that have lost their lives.
Killed after that sad incident as well. We have Oladainde Ariyo with us. He's a security consultant. Good morning to you, and thank you.
Good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, we are fine, but not fine.
Because because when you look at what is going on in the country, really, it's really hard for you to even, fake a smile. When you think about it. The National Assembly is looking at calling the president to come and talk to them about the state of insecurity in the country. But so far, are you even impressed with the way the police has, carried itself, and then the soldiers as well sent to one state and then they would leave without any information?
Less than a week ago, I scored the presidency very low on actions taken so far regarding safety and security in Nigeria. What I don't understand is that these killings, they've continued to be very consistent. And we're not talking of goats or cattle. We're talking of human beings like you and I, men and women like you and I. The last of that happened involving the two Catholic priests and 17 others, again, brought so much fear onto me, because I was like, oh, they could even go into a church while the service was going on to murder people. What offense could they have committed at that instance? Or was it a reprisal or what? And
they did another one.
And right after that. As we are talking now, I can bet you more people are still being mindlessly murdered.
And how can Mr. President answer to these questions? Yes, so the Senate, the National Assembly, they're looking at a joint session where President Buhari will be, made to answer questions. And the IG too.
Yes, you see, it has
the question that people are already asking is, will the president will he even show up to start with?
Since the IG had the idea
behind summoning him when he's not going to show.
For me, summoning him is just akin to wanting to seize the moral high ground from him. You understand? Here is a Senate that has been so badly scored by the people since they came to power. They've not been known for any landmark activity or action which will boost our democracy or enhance the lives of the people. So the president probably, certainly walked into their trap, and they're going to be hammering him by inviting him. The point is, what is he going to tell them? What new thing has come into his knowing, which wasn't there before, that will go and tell them?
Okay,
is it not the same IG that is sent to Benue and who was reported not to have stayed in Benue? Of course, there were releases of stories later saying that Benue was not just Makurdi, that he was moving around the various flashpoints of the crisis. And of course, they also went to Nasarawa and other adjoining states. But the point is, we don't seem to have the political will or determination to put all of these things to an end. And it's annoying.
And the Senate president has said, look, it's no longer about herdsmen, farmers. No. It's now herdsmen
this is banditry.
Against who?
This is banditry.
Every other person.
Absolutely. We began from Boko Haram, came up to herdsmen. Now this is sheer banditry.
And are we even sure, really, that these people, so-called herdsmen, are not even Boko Haram members masquerading as such?
We had said that before.
Because it seems they are attacking religion, they are attacking education.
And then what Boko Haram means is Western education
forbidden.
is forbidden. So if you translate that, you can connect what you are saying and make good sense out of it, which I found very unfortunate. But my own problem here is this. One of the joys that we had, that we were voting a retired general, a trained warrior, a trained fighter who knows the arts of managing wars, battles, and crises. But he has not brought that to bear at all in all of these things. Before you know, it will be 10 years I have been confronting Boko Haram. Yeah. We have lost so many fine officers and soldiers needlessly at battlefronts. Wives have become widows, children have become orphans, and nobody is thinking in that regard. And every day, more people are getting killed, more are getting maimed. And yet,
just yesterday,
the president has been making more statements about the herdsmen, trying to make sense or help us make sense of it. He, in Bauchi, he said that, look, there are people who are sponsoring these herdsmen, and they're trying to divide Nigeria and Nigerians.
He's just saying that. I have said that 5 years ago. Okay? He's not saying anything new. I was expecting him to give us affirmative action, that we put all of these things to an end, and to a quick end for that matter. We are fighting a civil war, whether we like it or not.
It seems some of damage too is happening because some would say because of his body language, or somehow his inaction. He came out after a long time, you know, to say that the IGP did not obey his order of going to Benue State. And then the IGP went with the same president to Bauchi State instead of heeding the call of the National Assembly.
Let me tell you, the situation at hand is beyond the police. The police, they're not trained to fight
Soldiers
wars.
were sent. Soldiers were sent. Operation Ayim Akpatuma was put in place.
Yes.
And then lawmakers and other indigenes of Benue State came out to say that the soldiers left without any form of information. So what do we make of that?
Let me also tell you, you see, these things, they keep becoming increasingly complicated. The same soldiers, they were back in Benue State. Just last week again, they set ablaze a whole community because one of them was killed. The question is, was he killed by the natives, or he got lost in the midst of a crisis?
Even if he was killed by the natives, was that action by soldiers?
Their reactive action.
Yes.
You were sent there to go and protect these people, and you took them on yourself. You pronounced them guilty and delivered such a dastardly
and was there an investigation?
And wicked and obnoxious judgment on them.
Was there an investigation to find out if truly the people killed the soldier, why they did it?
They constituted themselves into the authority that investigated, also prosecuted them, and then did judgment on them. It's unheard of. It's not right. It's
okay,
not right.
The Senate in trying to help out when Ike Ekweremadu stood in for the Senate president while he was abroad, said, look, we're ready to shut down the Senate in order to help President Buhari find solutions, lasting solutions to the problem of herdsmen.
That is making mountain out of a molehill. They don't have to shut down the National Assembly, for crying out loud.
Does that seem like blackmail?
That means sheer blackmail. Like I told you, they only want to seize the moral high ground for Mr. President because they've seen him as a weakling anyway, and they're giving that to him. Let me tell you, this is the first time in my life that I'm seeing an assembly, National Assembly, where the ruling party has majority, yet the minority effectively tamed them. They dictate the tempo, they decide what they do, they do there. Yesterday you watched TV when they raised the issue of impeaching Mr. President. Yes. I mean, and you begin to wonder, were they elected for just these mundane purposes? Remember when they were elected, when the assembly was inaugurated, the president sent in 3 bills to them. One on taxing people who have jets and hotels. Another one on giving the poorest of the poor 30,000 naira per month. And I think another one on the special kind of court to try people caught in corruption. What happened? Those bills were jettisoned. I mean, these are things that were seen to be very needful. You just considered our economic situation now in the last segment. And I became very scared because President Obasanjo, before he left, wiped up our debts.
Completely.
And in how many years now? We have acquired far more debts that cannot be traced to any productive venture which of course would have been able to generate enough resources to pay back the loan.
Now, the president just, you know, that's the row. It even caused the row at the National Assembly. The buying of the kind of jets from the US, and the lawmakers saying that the president did not get permission from them.
I am not going to blame Mr. President. Look, it's an open secret that there is no unity between the presidency and the legislature. It's not a secret. Everybody knows all of that. Even appointment of people to work with him for so long have been put on hold. Magu of EFCC remains in acting capacity till now. Almost 3 years.
The MPC committee took a long time to set up.
So we can't go, we'll be wasting quality time to start mentioning one by one.
But can you really do the right thing the wrong way? If we say that is this no love lost between the executive and the legislature, should we now jettison what the Constitution recommends in terms of the processes of governance and government?
Let me tell you, we are facing an unusual times. This is a time, as I said before, that we're in a war situation. It demands instant action. The same Senate that received the budget late last year, for all I care, we are in May. That budget has not been passed. 5 months out, 4 months now gone out of 12.
Don't you think there's due process?
You seem to be pushing the blame, putting the blame at the doorsteps of the legislature. But let's come back to the issues at hand.
For all I care, they prepared the budget.
Yes.
And then it was turned in. Okay? If they had issues with approving the budget, they should come out and tell us. We've not been told why that delay came off.
Here, there, and
to that extent, they take the blame.
But should the president have gone ahead without the permission? Because there are 3 major organs of the government: the executive, judiciary, the legislature, and they work hand in hand. That's why there's separation of powers.
Governance is a continuum. You will not expect the man to begin to wait again, be waiting for approval and appropriation, and then what needed to be done as a matter of urgency, emergency, we'll have to wait and tarry for another length of time.
But when you subvert the rule of law, what happens?
It's not subverting the rule of law. Let's go into the legalities. I'm not a lawyer. Look at this. You must also look at the social.
Society is bound by law.
Look at the social and the moral aspect of it. Please, it's important. There's a job to be done. Now everybody flogs the president. They don't even talk about their governors and the other people who are also elected officials. Everything is at the presidency. But you see, in this case, action needed to be taken, and he did that.
And are you not concerned that a global agency, is it the World Bank that came out with that report, that under this government, that there is impunity, there is corruption still going on? And now imagine 4 years down the line, when we discover that the $492 million that was said to have been paid for, to upgrade our, war planes and what have you, that those monies were not appropriated. They did not go to the appropriate quarters. And then the same Nigerians will shout themselves hoarse and say, why did the National Assembly not do anything? Because it had a role of checks and balances. Remember the embarrassment of smuggling money during the Jonathan administration to get
extra judiciary or constitutional spending. I'm never going to support that. I would have expected that it would have caused a letter to be written to inform them, perhaps
which has happened after the fact.
Like in an organization, you're not the MD, you are a manager somewhere, you needed to get approval for something before it could be expended money upon. Because of the urgency, you now had to maybe through, they call it environment, use money. But I don't think in this case that was done.
The money that belongs to the federal, state, and local government.
It remains an illegality. It is not done. Especially now that a foreign agency is now calling our attention to that. And that was what I was saying earlier. One of these things make us look like a laughing stock before the eye of the world. We must also remember that the world now is a global village. Before you do anything in your own corner of the globe, the whole world gets to know about it. We can no longer continue to misbehave and believing that it is our enclave. No, the whole world is watching. We must get our games right.
Back to the issue of the herdsmen now. We're trying to make sense of what kind of response the president will give or have for the National Assembly if he does, you know, a show. The president in Bauchi, I keep referring to that, said that he himself could have ended up a herdsman. You know, that the only problem, what has differentiated him from your typical killer herdsman is education, right? And I recall not too long ago, Dolapo Awoshibajo, the wife of the vice president, actually said, look, if we read more, if we went into our books more, Boko Haram, herdsmen killings and all of that, would not even be happening at all.
Illiteracy is a trait that runs between the three of them.
Absolutely, that's my point.
You see, the mobile nature of people who grew into becoming herdsmen, there's a word they use to describe them.
Marjorie?
No,
nomadic.
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 The nomadic nature made it difficult for them to have meaningful education. I remember President Jonathan went into all of these things. It did not work. So much money was thrown into it, not much was gained. Again, it now becomes a fundamental thing that we have to now go back to the drawing board, like most things in Nigeria, which again will take us back to the demand for restructuring, if we like it or not. Because those segment of the people, they lack education. There are things you will not ordinarily do because education has made you to know.
But then what effort has this present administration done really to promote education across board?
Across board, none, I would say.
Because the president was quick to say that many young people in Nigeria don't want to go to school.
I'm a well-informed Nigerian. I'm not just anybody on the street. I cannot see any, I don't know of any, and there's none in the public space that we can say, oh, this is one.
So we have identified the problem, and we've identified...
Unfortunately, again, the efforts by Jonathan, if I were to have been in their shoes, we will call people to go and review it, examine it, see what challenges they had, why it failed. Okay, change the game, change the narrative, and then let it run again.
So now we know the problem, and we seem to know the solution, but we're not applying it one bit. So where do we go from here if we're really going to find a lasting solution to the herdsmen killing, so that we don't wake up tomorrow and
saying the same thing?
We're still turning the pages of newspapers. And
actually,
I recall the case, the two kingpins of Boko Haram. Let's just digress very quickly. We should round this off very shortly. Two of them actually crying out, making a call to their colleagues who are still fighting in the Boko Haram frontiers that, look, surrender your arms. It's not worth it. Let's go and get educated. I heard those men. Of course, they were speaking in the language of Borno, but it was translated.
I also saw the video.
You saw that?
What I want to tell you is this. The people, either the officers or the front men fighting for Boko Haram, they were wrongly miseducated. Mind my word now. Wrongly and miseducated. I'm promoting negativity raised to power 2 now. So what that means is there was a vacuum, okay? And nature avoids vacuum. Because it's not like in the house where you don't train your child or teach or say to them the appropriate things in the house. Outside the home, friends and the general public will feed them the wrong things, and that will remain in their head. So they must go back and begin to, see the possibility of reprogramming the minds that have been so programmed.
Less talk, more action?
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Olade Ariyo, security consultant, thank you so much for always doing this with us.
I'm home any day.
Thank you.